We aren't making it up. There's no benefit to be on the side of the anti-vaxxers. People would literally, if I suddenly was on the side of Big Pharma, could you imagine how much money I could make? Pfizer would have me in every commercial talking about vaccines that you should get. But I'm not, because instead I want to take the route that is obviously less familiar to a lot of people, but at least it brings people closer to truth. So here are a couple of things I want to share with you that if this conversation on Twitter piqued your interest, I want to encourage you to keep going. First and foremost, something that you should know is that your entire life, you have probably been led to believe that people that are not vaccinating their children are poor, uneducated people that don't have resources. Thank you, Bill Gates, for going to Africa and giving these people vaccines, because once you become educated and you have money like people in America, you vaccinate your children. False. I grew up without much money. Every single person that was around me was vaccinated. Poor people must vaccinate their children if they want to go to school. It is the rich, wealthy, educated people that are choosing not to vaccinate their children. Let me back that up by showing you a couple of news headlines. Reported in ABC News, parents who don't vaccinate kids tend to be affluent, better educated, experts say. Here's another headline. California's rich, white, unvaccinated kindergartners. Here's a third headline. Rich people are leading the anti-vaccine movement, and experts have a theory why. Well, what is your theory? If these vaccines that we are giving to children are so life-saving, why would the people who have the resources to, people that can build bunkers in case we go through an apocalypse, people that are planning on getting to space if the world goes to crap, why would they choose not to give their children life-saving vaccines? As I moved up in life, as my social station has changed, I started to observe this weird phenomenon when I was around billionaires, people that were, high up millionaires worth $500 million. None of them vaccinated their kids. And it was a huge aha for me. I was like, this is weird. I thought this was supposed to be the uneducated people. So just know that fact. Number two, this one kills me, and I talk about this in my series. How is it that Big Pharma has convinced you that a mere seconds out of the womb, your baby, your perfect child, requires a hepatitis B shot? A hepatitis B is a sexually transmitted disease. It is an STI. How is it that you can come to the conclusion that your doctors and nurses are telling you the truth when they say this is definitely something your baby needs right out of the womb? Learn the history of the hepatitis B shot. Do you not know your status? Yes, it's presumably if you are Hep B positive and you give birth, of course you could pass it through your child in the womb. But do you not know your status when you're giving birth? Why would you think that every single child needs this? Number three, this one is staggering to me, and it's been fun to unpack this in my series. My husband, when I said I don't want to vaccinate our children, he was like, okay, but we're going to do the tetanus shot. That seems to be one that people are really brainwashed about, because you step on a rusty nail and your child's going to need tetanus. And I remember when I got deep into the studies of vaccines and I saw this chart. This chart is from the American Medical Association. So this is not a shady website. We'll include a link for you so you can look at it yourself. Look down at tetanus. This chart shows you the peak in the United States of the amount of cases pre-vaccine for every single one of these things that you're getting vaccinated against, every single one of these diseases that you're being vaccinated against. Look at tetanus down there. At its peak in the United States, okay, there was only 601 people who even got tetanus. Now, how many doses of tetanus does your children need? Look at the time of that, 1948, right? Which would probably dictate to you, wow, that's around wartime. People had wounds. Maybe it was a sanitation thing. And that you have been convinced. If you ask the average person, they'll say there must have been hundreds of thousands of people that were dying of tetanus and getting tetanus. And that's why now our children have to get multiple shots and boosters of tetanus. That's simply not true. Again, fear campaigns work. It was a big pharma campaign to show you that if your child steps on a rusty nail, they're going to get tetanus, because this is how they sell things based on fear. Tether yourself to the real numbers. This is what my series does. Number 4, circumcision. My mind was blown when my husband was outraged when I said to him, we should circumcise our son. Of course, it's what Americans do. And he was like, why are Americans mutilating their children's body? I don't understand this. We're not Jewish. We're not Muslim. This isn't a religious right. Why would we do this? And I was shocked when I discovered, he learned about tetanus, that America is the only country, virtually the only country in the world that is doing this outside of a religious right. I'm going to show you a clip from my series here, A Shot in the Dark. Take a listen. Nowhere else in the world, outside of Muslim North African countries, many of which perform tribal ceremonies as a rite of passage into manhood,
or Israel, but nowhere else, pick a country, any country, are they doing this? Are they just circumcising every boy as a standard as soon as they are born? So I'm going to give you some of the circumcision rates of surrounding countries. Canada, you would think, I thought for sure, Canada, yeah, they must be like us. They must be circumcising. Nope, 31%, just 31%, and it's going downward in terms of a trend of males in Canada are circumcised. In Mexico, that number is halved. It is 15%. In Sweden, it's just 5%. In Switzerland, it's just 5.9%. Across the entire European continent, there is no country that comes even close to breaking 25%, and no country, at least, that does not also have a majority Islamic population, because again, that would be a religious right, which is why they do this. Belgium was the country that had the highest percentage of circumcisions in Europe, and they have just 22% of their males that are circumcised.
I was completely shocked by this. And by the way, that's a snippet of the episode. We then show you some random exceptions in Korea and the Philippines. And the reason is because our influence, America, has had an influence on their medical standards, and we are controlling their medical standards. And if you are interested in this, you need to go pursue that in its entirety. Guys, if you're wondering why America is doing it, so you go, well, okay, but what would be the benefit? We're talking about baby foreskin, Candace, and it's not like they're selling it. Well, you're going to be shocked, but it is true that there is an entire market in America for baby foreskin, and it is being sold in beauty products. And I want to show you a clip of people applauding and laughing as they talk about the fact that your baby's foreskin that you assume is being thrown out at the hospital is actually being repurposed into modern beauty products. Take a look.
But so it's made from human foreskin. I'm sorry, Steve.
You done sat up here and squirted somebody's private parts in my damn hands. What you laughing at?
I'm sorry.
This your last time on the show. This your last time.
Now, one element of this that we have not been able to clarify because they keep things super nebulous, there are some doctors' offices that say that the hospitals are selling these foreskins directly, others that say that the hospitals are donating it. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get into the murky financing of hospitals, but you should know that that foreskin is ending up. You can actually buy baby foreskin if you would like to on websites, which we show in my Shot in the Dark series. Again, that was just a snippet. Number 5, something that absolutely should blow your minds is just the explosion of vaccines in general. I was born in 1989, and if you look at this chart that we have, that we show on my Shot in the Dark DW handle on Instagram, 1983, so this is just a little bit before I'm born, look how few shots there are that you're looking at, right? Now look to 2023 of how many shots, how many vaccines children are getting. And that's not even including the shots, because you also have the vitamin K shot, which they give you right at birth, but that doesn't count as a vaccine. Things are changing, and they are just doing so many things to hide things. And the last thing that I'm going to say, which you should know, is that SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, is literally listed as a reported adverse events on multiple FDA vaccine inserts on websites. Just, it tells you clearly there's a chance your infant could die from this. This has been a reported vaccine event. And most parents don't even know that. That's stunning to me. Parents don't know any information. Now, again, the point of my series and the point of us talking about this even today is because finally it feels like we are at the gates. Like we are reaching critical mass. People are having logical discussions. And that is in large part the way God works because of COVID. Because for the first time, people are not just blindly trusting the experts. If I had said this to you even 3 years ago, you probably would have thought I was a total kook. And now you're going, wait, and now you're seeing how they act, how they say, no, we don't have to debate our ideas. We've told you what the information is. I don't care if there's $1 million in the table if there's $1 million gauntlet. I don't have to debate my ideas. Well, as soon as you start saying that, it isn't because you are telling the truth. It's because you're an authoritarian. And I believe that big medicine is in cahoots. It's the government in lockstep with the vaccine manufacturers, big pharma, all of it